Hello and welcome to another wonderful dev diary, hopefully, of that game we were all incredibly hyped about, that being Europa Universalis 5. If you enjoy the videos that I make on this game, then please consider hitting the subscribe button. It helps me out and you stay informed about everything that's coming with this game. Now, before we get into this, I gotta say, it's really warm in my room. So don't mind the fact that you can see shoulder. Don't worry about it. YouTube isn't gonna care. No one's gonna care. Anyway, let's get into it. We are going to be looking at the Red Turban Rebellion. Last Friday, we got a taste of some of the flavor events that are coming for the Chinese region. And specifically, we had this event here, the case of Han Shantong. He was, burying dissident-level notes in places where, the peasants were going to have to dig because of some horrific floods along the Yellow River. And, one of the options, or I guess the option that comes up when you arrest this guy is we're going to get the Red Turban Rebellion. So, let's have a look and see what is going on here. The Red Turban Rebellion is a very turbulent time that historically brought the fall of the Yuan dynasty and the rise of the Ming dynasty. I know I just pronounced these words differently. I actually don't know which of these pronunciations I prefer. Either way. In the game, the situation can start after 1350 if Yuan has low stability, low legitimacy, the commoner as a state has low satisfaction, at least two of the other states have low satisfaction, or if they have arrested Han Shantong. As such, it's very difficult for Yuan to avoid it. Once it starts, the following event will fire. In 1328, the state of Yuan saw grand factional conflict between supporters of the Mongolian lords and a group of Chinese-based Confucianism followers, which ended in victory for Borjigin Togon Timur Huangdi. However, this was just a seed that laid the foundation for a storm to come. Lack of security and faith in the emperor, as well as harsh taxation, loss of stability in the state, and natural disasters have left the Yuan subjects outraged by the emperor. An Eastern Buddhist monk, Peng Ying Wai, I don't know how to pronounce it when it's just one letter, but whatever, has gathered those who oppose the dynasty's way of treating the Chinese. Thus, the Red Turban Rebellions start. It's just a minor uprising. It'll be fine. So, for the next 20 years, Yuan will face warlords breaking free from the state. To resolve the situation, every warlord needs to either be reconquered or bribed to be a loyalist to Yuan. Additionally, 90 legitimacy, 30 stability, and 50 celestial authority are required to end the situation. And just to make it a bit harder, you lose a bunch of stab and legitimacy before it even begins. Every subject also gains some liberty desire, and you lose some celestial authority. Pretty bad stuff. We also have stability investment going down, so it's even harder to get to 30 stab. Legitimacy goes down per month, so again, harder to get to 90. We have estate satisfaction equilibrium going down. The efficiency of our cabinet goes down. Our levy size is really basically cut in half, though we do get monthly rebel growth down because of balancing reasons. Also, our mercs are much smaller. Very much not a good time to be Yuan. Due to the open rebellion of the Han Chinese calling levies from the broader population, it would be nigh impossible for the once respected Huangdi. As you can see, getting the rebellions will bring about even more problems and penalties for Yuan. Additionally, while the situation is ongoing, some events will be firing, making the historical rebels appear, each event with an extra option to allow the player to switch and continue playing as the newly created rebel country. Fantastic, I love this. Both options of the events do the same, the only difference is the extra effect of switching playable country. The only thing that I am a little worried for here is, if I'm playing as Yuan, I know I start with a absolute gigaton of money. That's just objectively true. If I'm, say, I want to play as the Song, and I know what territory the Song come out with, then I'm going to use all of my money at the start of the game building in this Song area. Maybe I will delete buildings in other areas, delete forts in other areas, and really buff the Song area with... I mean, I suppose that's fine at the end of the day, sure, but I suppose you're not going to be able to do it very long, right? Because this is a rebellion that starts very, very quickly into the game, but you're going to be able to start with some advantages, but I suppose that's... You're going to be in China. You're eventually going to own all of China. a small advantage at the start isn't really gonna affect the massive advantage you'll have when the Red Turban Rebellion is over, I guess. So I wonder what the future might hold for Song. You release the Warring State of Song. Up to 8 of our most competent characters of the Song Yuan culture move to Song, lose some stability, declare a reign in the Rebels, war on Song. We'll continue playing as Song. And then Song decreases allegiance, loses opinion, raises all of its army levies. Song becomes the leader of the Red Turban Rebels, and Liu Fu Tong moves to the Kingdom of Song. We also have the Wu Rebellion, which will, have the rise of the Wu. Bold warlords declare themselves as heirs of past dynasties, starting open revolt and challenging the Yuan authority. Amongst those rebels are bandits who see an opportunity in our waning grasp of China. San Zi-zen and 18 of his followers fled to Gaoyou and have turned to banditry. Within a few weeks, San Zi-zen recruited thousands more bandits, and soon enough he declared the foundation of Wu. So you can go and play as Wu if you so desire. We also have the rise of Ming. Zhu Yuanzhang, a former mendicant monk who saw the horrors of the Red Turban Rebellions firsthand, joined King Guo Zizin and his troops when his monastery had been burned down by Yuan raiders. Under King Guo's command, Zhu Yuanzhang, I'm really struggling with these names, I'm apologizing, has proven himself a competent military leader and even earned the hand of Ma Zhu-in, King Guo Zin's adopted daughter. The achievements of The achievements of that guy eventually gained him command over a battalion of troops. The successful capture of Nanjing and the surrounding countryside allowed him to declare the formation of the Ming, a trusted ally of Guo, and you can play as the Ming as well. Some of the warlords may take the side of the Emperor, though, if allowed, such as the Nanping Loyalists. Not all Chinese are enemies of Yuan. Ding Liu Diang, a devoted loyalist of Borjigin Huangdi, and a general of the Yuan forces, led his troops to Nanping to establish an autonomous warring state and spearhead a counteroffensive against the Red Turban rebels. Finally, a loyalist with an initiativeness. That's initiativeness. Initiativeness. I don't think I've ever heard... I mean, I understand the word, but I have never seen that before. But anyway, it's increased its alliance, and it'll join all wars in the Red Turban Rebellions on the side of Yuan. Or you can decide to not release him and just gain stability instead, which might be a vibe. We also have the Coke Timur Loyalists as well, and we have all of the rebels here. This is what we have. So, Dongguan, Nanping, Fang, Kingdom of Shen, the Jia, Li, Song, we have the Kingdom of Coke Timur, Mao, Wu, Ming is much smaller than I would have expected, but sure, Mao, and then Guangning as well. So you have a lot of struggle to do. These guys down in the south look like loyalists. Obviously, we have Coke Timur as a loyalist as well, and then the rest of these guys are enemies of the state. And there's definitely Warren Bassing said, yes, of course there's. I'm just going to take this opportunity to once again reiterate my dislike of having these things up here. I do not like having my war banners on my top bar. I just don't like it. I think it's just objectively worse than having it where EU4 has it in the bottom corner. It's just better down there. It just is. So I still hope that they change it or leave it as an option for us, or a mod will come along and, fix it for us, because it's just really, like, what's the war score of this guy? I mean, it's 0%, sure, but what happens when it gets to, higher percentages? What happens if we get more banners, which makes these even squishier? Like, it's just not good. It's just really, really not good. This is proof positive that this system of having wars as notification banners just doesn't work. I don't want to see this. I don't like it. Besides the historical ones, there's also the option of generic cultural rebellions happening, as well as many other events that can fire during the situation, including some representing the loss of authority over the father's territories, like Manchuria breaking away. Red Turban rebellions affects not only the entirety of the core regions of Yuan, but also the long fringe areas of the dynasty. Most notably are the distant lands of Manchuria, which have been reconquered by our predecessors. While nominally under our control, due to the boiling conflict in our heartland, there's nobody who can enforce our rule over Manchuria, making it abandoned in effect. And then we also lose control over Tibet as well. Tibet, a core region of Yuan, refuses to acknowledge our influence and control and is virtually independent from our grasp. So, the situation panel will see what is going on here and the actions that you can take. You can grant some titles, you can negotiate with rebels, call loyalists to arms, and appease the court. And I guess victory comes when one of these hits 100%, like the previous ones. We have a loyalist panel, we have a rebellion panel. Obviously, this one is Ming. Couldn't tell you who the rest of them are. I just couldn't. But I like this flag the most. This is the best flag. This is the one that I want to play. Is that actually Coke Timur? It looks like that might be Coke Timur. No, this is Coke Timur here. I'm not playing Coke Timur. As you can see, the panel shows the current most powerful warlord as well as the countries and allegiances. We can also see here the actions available to the Emperor. So, select for Coke Timur. Promise of power and influence within the Celestial Court allures any kind of man by granting special titles and privileges to the rebel factions. Might be able to persuade them to become our loyalists, or at least convince them to accept a temporary truce. So you spend legitimacy to do it. You lose diplomat, you transfer some money, and then you get the allegiance of the guys up a bit. Negotiating with rebels, you can reduce the progress of one rebel faction by 30%. Or 25%. One of the two. Who knows which? We can call loyalists to arms. Selecting war and state country, which is loyal towards Yuan. We'll join the Red Turban Rebellions on our side. You lose some celestial authority for that. So basically, all of the actions that you can do for positive measures is basically I'm not strong enough to defeat these guys. I need help. Because all of these actions are costing the resources that you need to end the rebellions in general. So, yeah. It's cool. It's cool. I like it. While the countryside is in open revolt, malicious factions within our very court seek to support the warlords. Appeasing them might grant us much needed loyalty in the trying times. Gain some stability. All estates gain satisfaction. We gain appease the court for 3 years, which does something, I guess. Very cool. And that costs money. This is the one that you're going to be wanting to click. Money for stability. This seems like a great idea. So, some of the actions available to the warlords, which I think most people in this situation are probably going to be playing one of the warlords. So, main actions here: rekindle the revolt, reign in an area, declare war for regional supremacy. So, if you rekindle the revolt, you can only do it if you are not at war with Yuan, and Yuan will declare war on you. Okay. You can reign in an area. Ming adds the aerial reign to conquered area, and the locations get integrated. Very nice. Okay. So you also gain some righteousness. I believe that's part of the Buddhist religion, though I can't remember for sure. You can only do that if you have areas that are non-core locations and don't have the modifier active. The modifier giving max control and less separatism. This is actually huge numbers here. That's really nice. And then declaring war for regional supremacy. I think this is, declaring war on another warring state. So Ming declaring war on Wu, for example. Red Turban Rebellion is not only a revolt against the oppression of the current dynasty, but also a power struggle for the Celestial Throne itself. We must not allow any of those pretenders to gain the power to claim the mandate for themselves. Fantastic. So, actions for the Loyalists: you get support faction, join the Yuan defense, and declare independence. So if you support the faction, transfer 1 year worth of your ducats to the, I guess it's just to Yuan, maybe? Or you could probably give it to other of the support loyalists, though I don't know why you would. Also, I don't know why you would play this tag. Why would you... I don't think anyone would play a loyalist. Unless they just like the name and they want to eventually not be a loyalist, like they'll declare independence and join the warring states against Yuan. But I don't think anyone is probably going to play to be a loyalist. I don't get that idea. Join the Yuan defense. Although the Red Turban Rebellions might be an opportunity for us to break free of the Great Yuan, it's the strength in our diplomatic bond which protects us from foreign threats. As such, we should aim to support the dynasty to curb the rebellions. So you, I guess, join the wars that they have going on. Or you can just leave, declare independence. Great Yuan is facing one of its greatest crises. While a tragedy for Borjigin, Togon, Timur, Huangdi, it's an excellent opportunity for us to break the shackles bounding us to the Mongolian overlord. So you leave all of the rebellion wars, I guess. You gain stability, and then you declare war on Yuan. Nice. The situation can end in 3 possible ways. A victory for Yuan, a victory for the rebels, or a stalemate. For Yuan to win in their favor, besides the obviously defeating all the rebel countries, they need to raise the stability, legitimacy, and celestial authority. For the rebels to win, they need to unify the majority of China under the banner of a single country or their subjects, or have destroyed the Middle Kingdom I.O. If none of the conditions are fulfilled by the Age of Discovery, the situation will end and the stronger rebel will claim emperorship in the case that Yuan has been destroyed. In case the Yuan is the winner, they receive the following event. The Red Turban Rebellions have finally found its end. Although a brutal civil war, the forces of the Red Turban Rebellions could not break Yuan at last. The last remnants of the rebels are hunted down by the Mongolian raiders, while Borjigin Guy works on the restoration of authority and the Mandate of Heaven. You gain some prestige, you gain all of the prestige, stability, and legitimacy. Although, to end the rebellion, you need 90 stability from a maximum of 100. So what are we doing with the other 40? There's no monarch points that you can roll over and give those instead. Stability fine because you only needed 30 to end the rebellion, and celestial authority. I think you only needed 50 for that, so that's fine. But 50 legitimacy, I don't understand it. All countries with the warring state government reform who are loyal will be annexed as well. Very cool. Every location in all of the China areas becomes a core of Yuan, and you gain the unified China casus belli against every independent country in all of these places as well. Very cool. In case of a rebel victory, the Red Turban Rebellion's finally found its end. King Zhujing, King of Ming, claims victory over Borjigin Guy and the Yuan dynasty. The Kingdom of Ming has taken control over the Celestial Throne and now assumes the power of the Middle Kingdom. So, situation ends, remove the warring state government reform, Ming becomes the new leader, gain prestige, stability, legitimacy, and you get the event of the Rise of Ming. And you become Great Ming. Very cool. The cycle starts anew. We're back to 1444, boys. That's it. Take a look at another set of troubles that can happen to China if they're not careful. The crisis of the Chinese dynasty disaster. It's a dynamic disaster that can happen to any ruling dynasty of China, and therefore the localization will be slightly different. Chinese dynasty is just the generic name we use to talk about it, not the in-game one, as you may see. Anytime outside when the Red Turban situation is active, in which the leader of the Middle Kingdom has low celestial authority, neither low stability or low legitimacy, the disaster can start. When it does start, the following event will fire. Great Yuan face a terrible crisis, fail to rule in accordance with the Mandate of Heaven, and have lost the blessings and good fame that the Mandate affords. Mismanagement and strife are rampant in China, and discontent is spreading rapidly among the people. Already great masses have risen in revolt. We must think of our ancestors and strive to cultivate virtue, for the great mandate is not easy to keep. Once it's active, the country will receive some penalizing effects, and they need to reform their structure to be able to avoid the collapse. So you're gaining some war exhaustion, inflation, monthly rebel growth goes up, monthly celestial authority goes down. Heaven grows dark and grey. We're at the cusp of losing divine favour. Internal external pressure grows. Crumbling bureaucracy and agricultural failures have tipped the scale against us. The people no longer recognise us as the legitimate rulers of our dynasty. And so we have another crisis situation panel. Negotiate with rebels, we've seen that before. Reform the cabinet, revise tax code, restore stability in the dynasty, and strengthen the throne. Some actions available to the country to deal with the issue. Let's take a look at them in detail. So, negotiate with the rebels, the only action not required in order to end the disaster, but a useful tool to counteract the rising rebels. You sacrifice some celestial authority in order to demand control reduction across their lands of the rebels. And the state rebels demand tax reductions for privileges, the religious rebels demand religious concessions and push us towards humanist. Okay. Rebel negotiations. As our great people, traverse the tumultuous period known as the Crisis of the Great Yuan, it's become apparent that the burden of an entire dynasty is heavy on the shoulders of this guy. Recent developments have led to the movement of commoners insurgents gaining much traction, forcing us to the negotiation table. So if you reduce their taxation, again losing the celestial authority, commoners secession concessions for 3 years, pops that support commoners insurgents will gain some satisfaction, and they lose some progress. Cool. Looking now at the actions that the country will have to perform to end the disaster, reform the cabinet will be available if the country has all the estates satisfied, they'll have high crown power, or are employing at least 3 very capable cabinet members. You gain some celestial authority at the cost of some money, and these are the things you need. 60% satisfaction across the board, and crown power of 50 as well. Having 3 cabinet members has greater than 250 total abilities. Okay, so that's... Actually, I feel like that's pretty easy, right? 100 is the maximum for 1 stat. 300 is the basically the maximum for 1 cabinet member. So technically, you could have a 0, 0, 0, a 0, 0, 0, and a 100, 150. So you are essentially needing 250 total abilities out of a maximum of 900. I don't think that's an issue. Unless each of the cabinet members each need more than 250. If that's the case, which actually seems more likely, because you need very capable cabinet members, if that's the case, then that is painful. That's very, very painful. So you basically need like 85s across the board for all 3 of your guys, which is quite difficult, I would say. Revised the text code is special in that to be able to perform it, you need to have done first a specific cabinet action. The reform taxation system cabinet action. Fair enough. Gain celestial authority, you lose some inflation. You use a lot of inflation, actually. It's quite nice. And then you gain tax reformation attempts for 5 years, which gives estate satisfaction, equilibrium, and stability investment. It is a decaying modifier, though. So as time goes on, this gets less and less. And then also some monthly celestial authority change, which is quite nice. Alright. As you can see, the cabinet action will be a bit painful while it's being performed, but once it's finished, you will have plus 15% tax efficiency, which is a really good modifier. To be able to perform the action of restore stability in the dynasty, you will first need to raise the stability of the country to 50. And then you obviously have your spend money to do the event. Gain some celestial authority and some legitimacy. Finally, to perform Strength on the Throne, we'll need to raise the legitimacy all the way to 90, and then you gain stability and some celestial authority. All these actions can be performed in whatever order you want or can, but as you can see, they all help each other a little bit. Once the country has performed them all, they will have managed to successfully avoid the crisis, and the disaster will end. The period of instability is over. Those once conspired our demise and found joy in our fall now flee back into the shadows. Times of troubles have forged our people to be hardened and survive even divine challenges. A smile while watching the sunset, greeting the next day with the same hunger that once placed us on top of a great dynasty. So, next time out on Friday, we will have a Tinto flavor about Ayutthaya, Diviet, and Khmer, which is something I'm looking forward to quite a bit. Ayutthaya is one of the tags that I said when we had the Tinto maps of Southeast Asia that I was actually looking forward to playing. Before we end, though, of course, we need to have a look at some of the comments, because there are some dev comments, of course. Are there any probabilities for AI outcome of the rebellion? I don't like when this is true, right? I don't like when the finger is put heavily on the scales to make sure that a certain outcome happens. Will AI China mostly form Ming, or what you aim for in the regard? So the intention is the AI is able to reform China. Ming is one of the usual winners, but it's not guaranteed. This is fine, right? Having it be somewhat random, like if I play 100 games of EU5 and say 50 of them are Ming, sure, fine with that. But those few times where I see a Song or a Wu or even a successful Great Yuan, that's going to be like oh damn, that happened? That's cool. I like that. And I want those moments. I really like those moments. Can we start as future rebel tags in Yuan at the start of the game? No, because they don't exist at the start of the game. But this is basically what I was saying before. play 15 to 20 years of Yuan, where we're going to be able to destroy the economy, delete forts. We'll take all the struggle and challenge away of the rebellion away. This is kind of true. I'm wondering how they are going to manage to maybe make it so that you can't delete things as Great Yuan. I don't know. Something. I don't know. I'd like to see some people's thoughts on this. Whether you think it's a big deal, whether you don't think it's a big deal at all, and it's just all a bit of huff over nothing. I'd like to know people's thoughts on that one. Is there anything that happens for Northern Yuan? You mean beside losing the emperorship and being reduced to the Mongolian territories? They're still Yuan, and they can still try to take everything back. What happens to the 2C states in the southwest? They will become independent, but you can turn them into your own 2C diplomatically. No need to war them all. That's if you win as Ming. What happens to the Jurchens, or Jurchens? I don't know how to pronounce that. Are they free to just do whatever they want if they're no longer vassals of Yuan? And does the same go for Korea? If they go free, then yes, they're free. The same go for Korea? Yes. Yes, it does. How about considering changing the color of the Ming dynasty to red? Colors are not final. Good, because I think Yuan still needs to be changed. Red for the Ming candidate. Ming is a candidate. Yeah, I'm fine with that. New colors are always nice to see. Can we see mention the warring state government reform, please? Yes, we can. So we get monthly war exhaustion, possible government reforms +1, always nice. Levy size +10 and recruitment speed +10, always nice. Red Turban Rebellion's casus belli, yes, and then monthly progress to belligerent as well. On each location, belongs to the Chinese culture group, and owner has succeeded in subduing Goryeo through the Fate of the Kyria event chain. You also get speed of integration +25%. Cool. While the auto-conquer mechanic is very unfit for hordes, it's perfect for depicting civil wars such as the Red Turban Rebellion. They initially wanted it to be like that, but it caused too many issues in case of civil wars with so many participants, because obviously Ming can then attack Song while Song is at war with Yuan and Yuan is at war with Ming, and it's yeah, I agree it's a little bit awkward. But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it could be fine. I'm sure somebody will make a mod that changes it to be the auto-conquer mechanic, which is basically I siege a province, and the entire province flips to being my owned territory rather than a sieged territory. Well, it's interesting. I don't know. Is there any content specifically for your victorious Yuan? They still get all the content for the Emperor of China. And then finally, why is there a difference in rewards between victory of the Yuan dynasty and the victory of the new dynasty? The new dynasty will also get all the cores and the CB. It's included in the effect granting them the emperorship. So, that is all for today and the Red Turban Rebellion. My question, other than, of course, what do you do when you're Yuan? Are you going to, sabotage your own country to play as Ming properly or whatever? My other question is, which of these sides do you really want to play as? Are you going to try and become the Ming? Are you going to, say, sod all of that, going to play one of the Jurchen tribes and try and form Qing? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But before I let you go, please stick around. Next Wednesday, I actually have a brand new multiplayer coming up that I want to do a little bit of shilling for, if you don't mind. We're going to be using my sub mod here, or I guess it's a standalone thing, but converted mod, and we're going to be using the magic rework branch. Magic is going to be reworked in Anbanar soon, and it is a huge change, and I want to try it out. And so far, it's not on even the main branch of the in-development build. It's a branch of that. But just to quickly show what you have, a whole new magic menu. You can do different advancements. You have a spell book where you can do different spells. And then I don't know what patrons are yet, but I'll figure that out at some point next week. But yeah, if you head on over to my Discord, I will be playing that on Wednesday. Seeding is up and all that good stuff. So yeah, head on over to my Discord. There's a link in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys on Friday or Saturday, something along those lines, for a Tinto Flavor. Thanks all very much for watching, and see you then. Bye-bye.